Hello, everyone. I really hope that you all are having a great day. As you know, guys, whenever I come live, I have always amazing guests. I'm Sadia Confident Wali, and this is my show, Confident Pakistan. Today, I have an amazing guest, very talented, energetic, and dynamic personality. She is a teacher. She is a head teacher in Khadijatul Kubra uh, school, and I want to introduce and I want to welcome to my show. Uh, this name is Dehad. This name is Dehad. This is a name which is very unique. Please welcome and hello and assalamu alaikum Dehad.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Excited?
Okay. Please describe yourself.
Okay, so I am 45 years old. I've been with Hazrat Khadija Kubra Girls School for about a year and a half now. It's an amazing place to work. Wonderful staff, beautiful kids who are extremely well mannered. And I just had a meeting with my parent committee, and they're very excited. We're organizing a summer fair, so it's nice to have parents very engaged. So I am originally from Eritrea, which is in East Africa. But my country was in a long 30-year war for independence with Ethiopia, and during that time, my mom was then pregnant with me, so crossed the border to Sudan. I was born in Sudan, and then we just kind of moved around quite a lot. Lived in Saudi for a bit, Egypt, but then my dad died in in a kind of accident at work. So she was a single mom overnight when she was very young. So she decided to give us a better opportunity in life. So we emigrated and we sought asylum in Sweden, where I grew up. Spent most of my childhood in Sweden. When I turned 18, I moved to the UK. I had told my mom, I'm just going to spend 3 months, figure out what I want to do with my life. And she thought for some reason that was a good idea. And 26 years later, I'm still here. So I will never allow my children to do that to me then. So I did my degree here in the UK at King's. I did a nutrition degree. So I got a bachelor's from there. And then once my son was about a year old, I decided to obviously get to work. So I started working in an Islamic school for a very short time. And I really loved it. I felt like that was my thing. I'm good with teenagers. I love teaching science. I was very passionate about teaching. So I decided to go back to King's again and do my postgraduate certificate in teaching, which is called the PGCE. And so that was a wonderful opportunity to really kind of develop my skills and really learn some of those key, like sometimes when you teach, it becomes more like a natural instinct. But when you really learn about evidence-based strategies, you learn to really tweak certain things that are very useful. I do apologize about the noise. It's lunchtime, so the girls are going to be a bit loud outside. And then I continued to work. And then I got a bit bored because I find like if I don't get challenged, I get bored easily. So I decided I was going to go back part-time while I was working full-time. I did my master's in education. So I did that mostly evenings and weekends. So I got to stretch it over 3 years because it was part-time. Finished that. I had a wonderful, inspiring lecturer, and he was involved in my dissertation. So he said, this is a wonderful PhD project. You should do it. And I said, no, I'm going to spend some time with my children. I can't be doing a full-time job and going to education. That kind of drained me a bit. But obviously, a few years after that, my kids grew up. My daughter is now 16 and my son is 20. So during COVID, I was constantly telling my children to, utilize their time. This is the time to not just stay at home and do nothing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us, and we need to kind of utilize this time and be productive. And then I asked myself, so what am I doing to be productive? So that kind of challenged me. So I decided to sit down and have a conversation with them because it's going to impact on the way that we live our lives. And they were very supportive, and they said, yeah, go for it. So I applied for a PhD. And I started it in January 2021. But again, because I work full time and being a head teacher in a small school is quite intense because there's not that many people to delegate to, so you do kind of nip in and out of lots of areas. And it was a new school, and there was lots of new things that we needed to develop. So it's been a bit of a challenge. So it suits me to do a PhD part-time, but being an overachiever and sometimes maybe not understanding the consequence of my decisions, I also decided to do an MPQH on the side, which is the National Professional Qualification in Headship. So yeah, it's been an intense year and a half, but it's been enjoyable.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Dahab, your name is very unique. Can you describe the meaning of Dahab?
Yeah, so it's an Arabic name, which actually is Dahab, which means gold.
Oh,
But I think because of Eritreans, the way we pronounce it, we call it Dahab. So that's an Arabic word. There's actually a town in Egypt, what's it called? Like Sharm el Sheikh, like a tourist town called Dahab as well. My surname, it's actually misspelled, but it's Johar, which is Arabic for
Johar.
jewel or diamond. Yeah, so it's gold
Oh,
diamond. Yeah,
oh, gold and diamond together.
exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Can you tell us about your journey as a refugee and how it has shaped your personality, perspective, and education and leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has in many ways, even if I haven't thought about it as a child, had impacted me, but not necessarily in a negative way. I mean, maybe I wasn't the typical refugee, as in maybe kind of the stereotype of it, because I traveled and I just saw it as oh, I'm getting new experiences, but having to move and was for me a way to develop a lot of social skills. So I learned to quickly get to know people and quickly get into the culture. And I think because I lived in Saudi, Egypt, Sudan, Sweden, and then the UK, and I got to experience different educational systems that are very, very, very different in terms of the political systems, the socioeconomic, kind of all the social differences in those different countries and culture, religion, etc. But also how they look at education and how teachers teach. So I got to experience different things, but I do feel that it has helped me to become more culturally sensitive. So it just helped me relate to people more. That sometimes these things can be quite a negative things for some people, but for me, it really was about getting out of my comfort zone. Getting into these uncomfortable places where you have to be the one to instigate and start the conversation. Learning languages quickly has helped me. So I mean, I speak 4 languages, alhamdulillah, and I think it's because not because I tried hard to learn them, but because I got to live and experience different cultures and languages. But it also so my mother was a single mom, and she pushed to this idea of you need to excel, you need to work hard. She's an overachiever. She works really hard day and night. So to me, she was like this role model, and for me, learning new languages, reading, and being educated was like it just literally was like a door that opened. And I think, unfortunately, we live in a world where, although it's an inalienable right of every child to be educated, not every child has access to education or even quality education, even more than that. And so I'm very passionate about education, and me constantly learning and wanting to really always learn something new. I think that comes from the fact that I got to like my senses, like I just got to experience so much learning. And I was inspired by my mom to understand that I left this country, my country, so you could have a better future. So that was always kind of the drive for me, to have that high aspiration for myself. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's great.
Mm.
That's great. Okay. How has your experience as a science teacher, um, postural leader, safeguarding and child protection lead, and the curriculum and influencing your approach to being a leadership?
Um, well, I think just by being a teacher, I think you are automatically kind of in a leadership position because you have this power and authority in that classroom, and you have to be very careful how to use that you use it to inspire others. to motivate children, to structure things, to put some sanctions in place, reward systems, to motivate people around you. But I think because I've worked in these small schools, sometimes what has helped me to do is, like, I'm very passionate about teaching science, but just learning in general. So I want to ensure that comes across, and that children are inspired to. So I get excited if a student tells me, oh, I'm going to do A-level biology or chemistry or physics. I'm like, job done. I've inspired somebody to take that subject further. But I think sometimes in schools, alhamdulillah, you get these opportunities to do beyond the teaching. So I can relate to young people quite well. So I ended up being a pastoral lead and behavior lead because, sitting down, talking to children, understanding where they come from, helping them to kind of regulate their emotions, understand consequences of action. That automatically kind of led me to be the person that children would come to, or staff would ask for support. So that developed my kind of leadership in terms of behavior management. And then because I was very enthusiastic about my subject, so I really wanted to understand assessment, and I think my PGCE helped because I was very fortunate to have Christine Harrison as one of my lecturers, and she had been at the forefront of this research around assessment for learning and how you question children and how you assess them to develop their learning. So that became a passion of mine, and I wanted to kind of share that with my staff. So just delivering training for staff, working together in teams, leading them, holding them to account, gradually just developed that. And when I did my master's, I kind of picked and chose a few modules. One that I focused on was about mental health and social emotional behavior difficulties, where I wrote my dissertation on. And the other area was around leadership and international education. So all of these things kind of come together, building this kind of understanding of, children's mental health and well-being, developing staff and professional development. So it just kind of lent itself. So I always found myself like de facto leader, maybe not as a position, but if the head teacher's gone, I would kind of jump in and help out with that. I would, support the head teacher with training staff or writing policies. So while I was teaching, I got a taste of the different areas within a school. So when I then decided to, after quite a lot of push from my friend, to go for this head teacher role, I was a bit nervous, thinking I've never been a head teacher before. But I realized, I've been teaching since 2005. So all of these years of working with other teachers, doing professional development, and working on the safeguarding area around policies and developing staff. And it just, I realized I was quite aware of major areas and components of school leadership anyway. And that came together. But I'm quite a curious person anyway. So I read a lot of policies around it and started to try to understand how the schools are run. And so the MPQH, I did that alongside the first year of my head teacher training. And what that did was it allowed me to kind of develop different areas every term that I could take my learning and put it into practice, into headship, take my learning and put it in practice, headship. But I also realized that the best way to get the most out of teachers is to really collaborate with them. So I do believe in this concept of, promoting leadership within the staff, empowerment of women, because we have mostly, female staff. So just empowering them to take on leadership roles. And you got to trust your staff. And I think it's, as long as you develop them and give them enough knowledge and training and let them take risks, and sometimes it doesn't always work out the way they want it. And you have the cycle of implementing, evaluating, impact, implementing something, evaluate. As long as you have that cycle, I think that's how I thrived, by somebody trusting me to take on roles and to develop things in that school. I need to now also trust my staff to develop new areas. But I do think that it's important to train staff and give them an opportunity to learn new things, because you don't want to just, throw something at the wall hoping it will stick.
Excellent, Dahab. Okay, I want to ask you, okay, how do you believe your academic pursuits enhance your achievements and head teacher as
How
a
my
head teacher?
academic, yeah, let me just bear with me 1 second. Can you just repeat that one more time? So,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat that question one more time, please?
Yes, I can hear. I can see.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question to me? Because I didn't hear
Yes,
that.
yes, yes,
The
yes,
first
yes. I
question.
can repeat. How do you believe your academic pursuits enhance your effectiveness as a head teacher?
Okay, so a very good question. I think for me, because either my whenever I've done my masters or when I started to do my PhD, they were linked to my job. So it was based on the experiences that I already have. So things that I worked on that kind of inspired me. I'd like to know a bit more about that. Well, I'm really interested in this. So my research and my academic pursuit was that. Or sometimes some things that I've learned, like so for example, I went to a summer conference for the masters education in education course, and somebody had done like a seminar about character education, and the Jubilee Center at the University of Birmingham has just started something like that. And I thought this is great, and nobody had known about it before. They were just about to start. So I just went straight to their website and I found some really brilliant things that we could do. So now we have a um, every year we have a full day that we dedicate to character education based on the Jubilee Center's program, but we tweak it to make it more linked to our school. So I think it's so important to really constantly pursue a kind of academic um, development, because you learn something new that maybe your work would not have led you to it. Sometimes our path can be very can be very tunnel visioned as maybe well, I'll talk about myself, not other people, but I can just maybe go down that road. And unless maybe I had come across some new reading or a new article or new policies or some new research, I would not maybe have implemented some of the things that I implemented in school. So I think my academic pursuits have always been linked to my work anyway. But I think if you're constantly curious and you want to learn, you'll find something that you can tweak about leadership, about maybe personal development, about schoolwork, whatever it is that you're learning. I think you can implement that. For me, alhamdulillah, my master's and my PhD have been very well linked to education. So it served the purpose, I think.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Dehab, how do you prioritize and manage your time between your responsibilities as a head teacher and your ongoing PhD studies?
Um, it's a very good question. Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm very good at doing that. Unfortunately, when you have a PhD, because it's a lot more your own responsibility, and I set the pace, it can sometimes go onto the side, and I prioritize my work more because it's about children and you have to constantly do things because job is a job. Um, but I think you have to be realistic and say to myself, what how much time can I spend? So I'm supposed to spend 15 hours on my PhD work a week, but I know that's not doable. So I spend about 6 to 7. And so what that happens is Sundays. Sunday is my PhD day. That's the time I just do my reading, catch up. But what I do is I have like a Gantt chart. So I've mapped out my entire PhD journey, and I've split it into like month by month, the different areas and the different deadlines I need to have. And although it doesn't work perfectly, at least it gives me some kind of a picture of where I should be aiming at. And I think this year has been difficult because, like I said, stupidly, I decided to do the MPQH, PhD, and my headship. So that was a bit too much. But my MPQH is done now, alhamdulillah. So I shouldn't, that leaves me with two things. So that's good. But sometimes you just got to do it. I decided to do my PhD when my kids were older. So that's fine. So they don't really need me as much. They're very alhamdulillah, sufficient. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's 20, she's 16. Um, it is hard sometimes, but I think I'm very blessed because I'm quite fast. As you notice, I speak fast as well. So I walk fast, I speak fast, everything is fast. So I just I do a to-do list. I love Microsoft Office to-do list. Ping, ping, ping. I have lots of different areas in my to-do list. I share it and I put some deadlines for myself. So that tends to help. To-do lists are the best thing for me, but I appreciate that because I'm paying for my PhD, so I have to be very careful not to fall behind. I have very good supervisors that are extremely supportive and let me decide what to do and how to do things. But I'm very fast, so I'm a year ahead of my schedule for my PhD anyway. So it's worked out very well. It's worked out very well. Yeah,
Very, very,
you just gotta do
very
it, don't
well.
you? Sometimes.
Okay. What are some of the biggest challenges you have faced as a head teacher, and how do you address them?
Yeah, okay, so I think probably for me, being especially new to the role, two things. Number one was, something called having difficult conversations with staff. The level that the part of accountability. How do you hold people to account? But you want to do it in a way that it is, it motivates them to do to improve rather than it being, ha, I got you doing something wrong. So that was quite difficult for me in the beginning. But I was, again, it's just things happen the right way. So my first module during the MPQH was focused on ethical leadership. So, and it was about different behaviors that a leader should have. And it was kind of drilling that on. There was lots of reading that we had to do around that and lots of reflection on our own practice. So it helped to read, study for MPQH while I was a head teacher. And so I'm getting better at them because I'm reading around it. I'm practicing, I'm reflecting. And in the beginning, it didn't go very well. Some conversations didn't go the way I wanted them to go. And I had to start holding myself to account and say, okay, where did I go wrong here? Or how could I have, if I had a chance to talk to this person again, how would I do it better? And so I also, I just took advice. So I had a leadership coach that I met with once a half term. And I got to bounce some ideas off her. And she would not give me answers, but she would constantly probe me with challenging questions, making me challenge my own practice. And I think it's really useful when you're early in your practice that you have somebody constantly also, asking you those questions to make you think critically about how you are developing. So that helped. So my MPKH reading and just my interest in developing that skill and reading around this topic area. And I found even a training through one of the teacher unions that I was part of that actually said, having a difficult conversation. That's literally the title of it. I was like, click, I'm going to go for that training. And that was quite useful because it's about, I had to learn to accept that that was part of my role. As much as I maybe dislike it, I need to do it. And getting out of my comfort zone. I think that was one of my first challenges. I think the second challenge is because we are a charitable organization and our fees are very low compared to other Islamic schools within our local areas. Yet, alhamdulillah, our results are better or comparable to most of the top performing ones. The challenge was so once I identified all of the areas and kind of evaluated different areas within the school, I then obviously write a school development plan for the next year. And so in order for things to be in place, I need money for that or some kind of funding. If I want to train, I need money. If I'm going to develop certain aspect of the school, there's always a cost implication. And I'm very conscious of the fact that we are a charity and we are accountable for how we spend our money. So I think the biggest challenge is finding creative ways to still develop the school the way I want it, because I want an amazing school. I want an outstanding school. I don't want a school that coasts or we do the bare minimum. So how do we get those things done? Because in the UK, state schools, comprehensive state schools, they get a lot of funding. Number one. Number two, a lot of the training that's out there, professional training, is also free for state school teachers, but not free for independent schools. Because there's an assumption that independent schools have a lot of money, but we're not that kind of independent school. We're a small Islamic independent school, which means we still have to compete with every other school. Our students must still do well academically and have the personal development, extracurricular, all these things. The latest technology needs to be implemented, the latest training and professional development. But how do we get there if we don't have the same access to funds? So it's about being creative and finding money. And if I can't find the money, how do I still make sure I can find a way to get there? I think that's been the biggest challenge for me.
Okay, okay, Adhab. Okay, I want to ask, how do you foster positive and inclusive learning environmental for the students of Hazrat Khadijatul Kubra Girls School?
Yeah, I mean, developing culture is not as straightforward, but I think it has to start from top down as well. So school leadership as well as trustees, we need to have a very clear vision and ethos for the school where everybody should feel welcome in the school regardless of what you look like. And I'm really pleased right now, because when I look at the type of teachers that we have teachers who are from all walks of life. So we have teachers who are Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Yemen, East Africa, Polish, Egyptian, Turkish. So like it's such a lovely thing to see such a diverse community of teachers. And I think that trickles down because that tolerance and inclusion comes from that. Also, um, um, policies are very important. So for me, it's about ensuring that all our policies, everything from our teaching and learning, curriculum, assessment policies to behavior policies, that they are really well understood by everyone. But that if you want to have an inclusive environment, you need to write it down straight up that is what you're looking for, and where are the no-goes. And then once the policies are in place, it's about constantly monitoring that that's happening. So when I walk into a classroom and I'm observing a lesson, I need to make sure that all children are engaged, not some. That when teachers are teaching, they're not just pitching right into the middle where it's easy to pitch it. It's that they are also extending the learning of the more able, that they are supporting the ones that are struggling, because some children may not have a special needs statement, but they might be at a lower ability and they're not making enough progress and need support. It's also about challenging language. So being very consistent with our language. So children will say something silly. Maybe a child throws a racist comment. Not necessarily because a child is racist, but sometimes, what they hear online, or they don't understand the gravity of that language, maybe, and they say things. It's about not the shock, but we have lovely staff who sit down and talk to the children, really trying to develop that character by saying, okay, why would that be wrong? And getting them to apologize to each other and mend relationships. I think that helps. So for example, we went to a theme park last week for end of year like a celebration. And then before they left in the school, we talked about the rules, about their behavior, and the expectations we have. But we also made a rule that there should never be a student from our school that we see alone. There should be a minimum of 3 all the time. Why? And I said to them, let's say you're in year 10 and the year 7 student happens to have lost her friends and she's on her own. You need to call her in. She's not your age. She's not your best mate, but she's a classmate. She's a schoolmate, and she should never be alone. And I think that's what it is. It's just having that presence and ensuring that children are not ever excluded behavior-wise, but we also have a curriculum and a policy that does not exclude some children based on ability, ethnicity, religion, whatever it is. That is just everybody should not just be tolerated, but included and respected. I think that comes from staff knowing that that's the case, children knowing about it, having assemblies. We have like an anti-bullying ambassador in our schools. Children that have gone to training outside, and they have to come here, and to earn their badges, they have to do some activities and run workshops themselves. So it's about children also teaching children. The other thing we have like a leadership program that we just started now with the girls. And in order to complete it, they have to commit to volunteering in the summer as well. And that will teach them hopefully to, be part of a community and be of service to others. So I think to have an inclusive environment isn't just about inclusivity in terms of ability. It's about academic ability. It's about your background. It's about your, religious affiliation or understanding. So it's just about ensuring that we teach every child, so they're always included in every activity, that they have the access. I think that's what it is, giving access to everyone. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Okay. Dehab, when we discuss about Khadijatul Kubra Girls High School, let me know. I want to ask one more question. What are your goals and aspiration for the future of Hazrat Khadijatul Kubra Girls School, and how do you plan to achieve them?
okay. Well, I'd say Alhamdulillah, we've just been offered, actually, this is kind of a part of the goal, but a small part of it. We've just been offered the opportunity to buy our building from the city council, and they've given us a really, really, really kind of fair, cheap price. And so we're fundraising now like crazy we've got until December to ensure that so we're doing like fundraisers, we're doing hopefully lots of events so that we can get the public, the community to start donating so we can buy this building. And what that does is it secures our future. We don't have to be afraid of the, how do we survive by, paying rent, but we can actually invest the money into developing the school, the building, the educational standards. My aspiration for the school is that we are an outstanding school, that we are at the forefront. So we want to be ahead of the game. Always, our teachers are the best. They are paid well, that they are, taken well taken care of. Having that well-being of staff and students. If people are happy to be in school, they feel inspired, they feel challenged. It needs to be a school where every young Muslim woman leaves the school and has impact on society. That for me is really important, because I like to, hopefully, if possible, live by the statement the Prophet gave about when a man asked him, tell me, who are the best of people? And then the Prophet says, "Anfa'ahum linnas," those who are most beneficial to others. And I think that to me is really important. How do we inspire our young girls to have this confidence? Because we live in a world where, being dressed in a certain way, having a certain color, is a disadvantage, unfortunately, and can be you can be discriminated against, and there are certain stereotypes. But I would like our girls to be confident Muslims that can speak up for themselves, that can give back to community and have a sense of purpose in life. And I think to do that, we need to equip them with two things. Number one, the actual skills, knowledge and skills to be able to do that. But two, it's about the character development. So that's my aspiration for the school, is to be this safe haven for our girls, where we only give them the best. And I think it is a huge amana, and we should never take lightly. And I want us to
Yes.
always be innovate. Never be happy with, oh, we've been good so far. Innovate, constantly try new things, evidence-based, and it's always about becoming better and better and better. So we can hopefully be like a type of a beacon school. That would be a dream.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Okay, this is a important question. How do you engage with parents and the wider community to ensure a collaborative and supportive educational environment?
Oh, I think that's a wonderful question. Interestingly, that's my last assignment for my MPKH. I chose to focus on partnership and collaboration, because I think that's really, really important. So, a few things we've tried since I've come. Number one, I realized that our website was kind of a bit outdated. So the first thing we did was we ensured that our website now is, like, I update it all the time. So the information is up there. So if a parent wants to know what are their children learning this week, they should go to our website and know, okay, I'm going to go to the curriculum section. I'm going to go to art, and I know that this half term they're doing this artist, they're doing this work. So that's really important, that there is information available for them. If parents are struggling with the well-being of their children, or don't know how to keep their children safe, we have an e-safety section, a well-being section where there's guidance for parents. So that's really important, all our policies. So to ensure that the information that we have out there is accurate, up to date. And then social media started to use that a bit more often now. So on Instagram, almost on a daily basis, we post what's been happening in our school. So parents are aware of what's going on, what's coming up next, whatever they're, and just really kind of showcasing the great things that our children are doing. So Artist of the Month, we take a picture of what they've done, we post it. So that's obviously just a one-way communication. The other part of it is also surveys. So we send out surveys at least once a year. This year, I think I've sent out 2 surveys, just to get a feel for what parents are feeling. We didn't get as much response as I hoped. So what I'm hoping to do is, now that we are investing in a management information system, that we have a parent portal, hopefully, so parents can get regular updates about what's happening with their child specifically, and they can also communicate with us. So like it becomes more instant. So we don't have to rely on just emails and letters. And what I'm hoping to do is embed the survey, so it becomes just on their phone, quick, they can answer it, making it easier for parents to give their views. Obviously, during parents' evening as well, just having an open door policy where they can make an appointment, come and see us, and to discuss those things. The thing that I also introduced this year when I first joined, and I just had a meeting with the parents when I was texting you earlier today, is we have a parent committee. So we reached out to parents, said who would like to be part of this parent committee and help to grow the school. It's a very small group, but it's a very enthusiastic group. They're very honest and share about their appreciation for the school. They want it to be better, so they're helping with the fundraising event. They've come to events to speak on behalf of the school. So it's really, really nice to see that growing, and I'm hoping to grow that a bit more, hoping to maybe get another 3 or 4 parents in to make it a bigger, so we can have allocate roles and different. We even have our own little policy, so it's quite nice to really engage with parents and see how they would like to move on. Not all parents want to do that. Sometimes as a parent, you just want to send your child, as long as they're informed, they're happy, and that's okay. Some parents might want to be a bit more involved, and that's okay too. So I'm hoping the management information system that's going to come up now, be set up in July. By September, we should have a much better communication with parents where it's more regular. But we have like half-termly newsletters that we share with parents and we put up on our website, so people in the local community, anybody that can read about what's been happening every half term and the events and activities that are happening. We also started having an iftar just last year, so every Ramadan. Now I'm hoping to finish that off. It was amazing. Lots of parents came, people from the community came, their children. We had Islamic Relief come to fundraise. We had lots of food. Our beautiful students, they literally set up the majority of it. They had like these cake stands and little activities and workshops for children. So that was a really lovely community event. And then we have this summer fair. We've also resetting up. It's been a very busy year. The summer fair where we're hoping the local community can come and really embrace the school. And then the last thing I wanted to do was I've written up something called the Memorandum of Understanding, so I can create a formal relationship with another Islamic girls' school in Birmingham, so that we can actually learn from each other, share good practice. But because one of the challenges I mentioned earlier was about money and how do you get the funds to do this, one way of saving money is to pool our resources together and pay for one training session so both schools can benefit rather than paying separately. So maybe where we can share our finances around teacher training and professional development, maybe sharing resources and things like that, so that we can utilize. They're a small school, we're a small school. So I think for me, parent community and other schools, we're doing a lot of work right now, but I'm hoping that will grow more and more, inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Can you share an example of a successful initiative or project you have implemented as at the school that has had a positive impact on a student learning and well-being?
Been quite a few this year actually. I'd say the I'm hoping that the anti-bullying alliance program that we've set up, I'm hoping we'll see the impact of it soon, because we're going to have an impact evaluation session coming up soon before we get the award, where we find out what students' our experiences are of the school, how safe it is, and we put some things in place. And then we put up we introduced the anti-bullying ambassadors who are doing the workshop, and then we added like a worry box where children can put in their worries so that we can address them. And what that's done is it's kind of opened up anonymously. They can share if they have any bullying issues or a problem that they have with another student. And then we've then managed to be able to sit down with the group and mend relationship. I think that's a really, but I think in terms of impact, we'll have to wait and see. I think in terms of our recruitment, we had quite a lot of staff leaving in the beginning when I had first joined. So kind of inherited that problem of recruitment. We've been very fortunate because we've recruited really highly qualified teachers, and really insisting on that we have a proper induction program and training for them, so that you can start to see, okay, there's an impact on their teaching and learning. So it's what we've tried to do is make our CPD, professional development, based on observations. So we first observe lessons, and then we identify some of the key issues that we're seeing, and then our CPD program is based on what we see rather than just random training. I have seen an impact on that because one of the things that we noticed was, okay, we may not have a very clear curriculum map. And when we had like a very short journey from year 7 to year 11 that teachers had to develop, it took them like a year because it takes time to do these things. We now had an overview. So when we are observing lessons, we can see what's happening. And I've noticed that the results went up this year. So we're hoping next year's result will go up even higher.
Thanks, Dahab. Very thank you. I'm very thankful to you for coming in my show. Please
Likewise.
tell us about your Sadia Confidence Wali. And this is show my confident. This is my show, Confident Pakistan. Please give you some feedback.
You would like me to give feedback?
Yes, give me some
Um,
feedback. Yes.
I think you had some really pertinent questions. I was kind of didn't expect that. So, thank you so much. First of all, extremely welcoming. I definitely enjoyed it. Didn't think I was going to talk as much. I was a bit nervous because I was happy to talk about the school, but when the questions became about me, I was like, but you made it very easy. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate your time. And you made it so easy for me because I can fit it in within my work without having to kind of compromise. Although a few people were knocking on the door, but it's been a wonderful experience, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dahab Johar. This means is diamond and gold. Really, you are the diamond and gold. Yes, you are look
Thank you
like.
so much. Appreciate that.
You are, yeah.
Nice to
Thanks
talk
for
to a
coming.
fellow, a woman who's doing great things to advance the community and some of those projects. So this is I'm glad that Faison got us in touch. So that was lovely.
Okay, thanks coming in my show and my viewers. Hope you are guys loved it. You are looking. You are loved this session. I will become again with you guests and new guests very soon, inshallah. Then will I will Allah Hafiz. Goodbye, everyone. Allah
Bye bye.
Hafiz. Bye bye.
Shall I log off then? Yeah.